Who's beginning?
You
can be edited.
You're keeping us on track.
You're the one who had the name.
You're keeping us on track. Is that not what he just said?
Good evening. Welcome to Dragonfire Side Chats.
The working title.
The working title. And we are going to be discussing some movies. We're going to start out with a decent, I thought, Batman movie. Everybody else hated it around this table.
Depends what Batman movie we're talking about.
The Batman. A decent movie.
You can't just add a "the" in front of the name and call it a decent movie.
It's literally called The Batman.
I know. And the other one, the original, is called Batman. Literally all they did was add a "the."
I think Robert Pattinson's going in the wrong direction. Twilight should have a sequel. We just go back to that.
Twilight did have a sequel.
Well, the real question is are they...
Guess I missed it.
It might be the same universe. We don't even know that because he has to be in the dark. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to stay at night because nobody wants to see him glisten in the daytime. So we don't even know that Bruce Wayne is actually not still a vampire.
Strikes fear into criminals and
then eats them.
It gets teenage girls'
Either
panties
one,
red.
have either one of you seen Twilight?
I've seen Twilight.
Yes.
I have not seen Twilight.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he goes to school, which means there's sun.
Right, so they go to school in, was it Oregon or like very rainy, and it's always rainy and terrible.
Cloudy,
and then they quote unquote call out sick on nice days.
Yeah.
Like none of
That's seriously a plot in the story.
Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
that is
Yeah,
awful.
when it's a nice sunny day, they're quote unquote sick and nobody sees them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a very confusing plot point for a terrible movie. But we will move on from Twilight.
Back to
I
Batman.
wish I could.
The Batman.
It just lives in my mind rent free.
Well, so you were joking more or less thinking that he went in an opposite direction, Robert Pattinson, compared to Twilight.
Well, I mean, I really didn't like the Batman, so.
But did you not like him in the Batman?
He went in the same direction.
You think he's the same character, not the jokey same.
I'm saying the quality of his movies have not improved.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah.
Even just seeing clips of Twilight, you could see his acting is
Oh, well, yeah.
far
yeah.
superior. In the
I still
Batman.
think the best thing he's
Yeah,
done is Harry Potter.
I thought it. Cedric?
Yeah, Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, I mean, that
He was fine in that, but
But it was a short.
yeah, like you don't really get much of his character
that's
development,
fair.
so to speak.
That's fair.
But in this movie, you do get to see.
On the plus side, though, he dies, so, like...
That's fair. That's fair.
That's true. If he had died in Twilight,
His redeeming quality
I'd say
in Harry Potter is that he's dead.
I mean, he served a very good purpose in Harry Potter with his death, to be the thing that basically made everybody think that Voldemort is.
I don't know, he had the same, like, very scruff, growly tone that Christian Bale did in the most recent Batman. I don't know,
Christian Bale, the most recent
Oh,
Batman.
you mean in the
In
Batman
his-
he did?
Most recent.
yes.
I thought you meant in Twilight. I was like, I don't
No, not Twilight. No, like Robert... is it Patterson or Pattinson?
It is Pattinson. Patison.
Okay,
know.
so...
That's too confusing.
Pattinson.
I'm going to call him Pattinson.
So again, but like his like scruff tone, like if you don't know who it is, he plays a Batman very well. Like if you see him in the costume, you don't really know who it is, which is kind of the whole point of being Batman.
I mean, if you knew that Bruce Wayne was an emo person, and then you see a Batman that's an emo person, I'm making that connection. At least with Christian Bale's performance.
when he gets like all dressed up.
With Christian Bale's performance, he at least, one of the things that they touched on with that, and I know it's a different take, but they touched on the fact that he had to try to give this big elaborate performance so nobody would even question the fact that Batman seems to have all these tools and all this money, and Christian Bale playing Bruce Wayne has all this money, but you shouldn't make that connection because they're clearly different people. In this one, he has no money, he's broke, he's emo, and then his Batman is also emo.
I like.
When does it say that he's broke?
They talk about that in the movie, that they have no money.
They've been losing money, but I also like that this is the first movie where he keeps the eyeshadow on.
They should. That actually made that movie more believable than any of the other Batmans in the sense of, God, what is it? Is it George Clooney or is it Michael Keaton? Where they rip off their, like, there's eye makeup there and they rip off their mask and there's no eye makeup, and it's atrocious.
I think I liked him as Batman. It's just the movie itself. The director made some really bad choices. The story was kind of meh, and then the Riddler was just fucking atrocious.
Yeah, I did not like this interpretation of the Riddler. Like, it could have been a different person. Like, I think if it would have been either their own character, so to speak, so it wasn't a Riddler, that it was just a serial killer, I'm fine with that. But the fact that they made it the Riddler, the riddles were something a 2-year-old could solve, but none of the detectives there could solve. But Batman solved it in half a second. Didn't make any sense to me. It just wasn't. It didn't fit the character. It didn't fit the story.
It's like a whole different storyline to go with, though. I mean, what's to say that that's just their version of the Riddler? I mean,
that's
a
fine.
psychopath
It doesn't make it a
in
good
mask.
one. Just because it's their version of something doesn't make it good.
Well, what made him bad? Because he didn't look like the Riddler previously? It's not Jim Carrey?
What
Some
made
of
it
those
bad was
ones-
the overacting in scenes.
Yeah.
They're just like creepy, but not scary creepy. Just more like, oh, that guy's weird.
Well, again,
Well,
I think
true,
that-
but, like,
that's part of it. What
I
they were
understand,
going for.
but I'm
What
just
if
saying
he's just
it's not
extremely
intimidating.
smart introvert that's not intimidating and is trying to be intimidating? Like, what would that look like in real life?
Sure, but you would think that if you're the Riddler, or
Like,
if
KJ, what
you're
would you look
portraying-
like if you just decided to become a fucking psychopath
I'm
wearing?
pretty sure that I
wearing
would
a
have
mask?
tougher riddles than that, where anybody could solve it. Anybody at all. Not to mention, this is 2022 when this movie came out, so it was filmed in what? 2019, 2020, 2021.
Yeah, you
Yet
can just ask Siri to solve
You
it.
could have gone to Google for any of these riddles. None of them were difficult. They're acting like it's back in the 90s when Jim Carrey was playing the Riddler and he's coming up with riddles, and you can't just go ask a computer at any time what this riddle is. They're making it into this big elaborate thing. And I'm fine if the riddle was this big elaborate thing that I don't know, you don't know, and Batman somehow figures out because he's the world's greatest detective. Great. But that's not what it was. These are just easy-ass riddles. And if you're saying, well, it's okay, it's his only first time being the Riddler, he was trying to make it easy, fine, but then that's still not
The cipher portion you're saying is easy that anyone could figure out?
No, the cipher portion where it was, what was it?
Drive?
No, not that. I just meant the person doing it. It was Alfred, right? Alfred basically took the time to solve the cipher. I just meant the little riddles that were just given, and Batman standing in the room with all the cops, and he's just like, the answer is yada.
Well,
The answer
I mean,
yada."
is that more to point out that the riddles are easy or that the police are incompetent? Because that's kind of what I picked up, that is the
But either
police
way,
were
even if the police are
incompetent to do that.
But even if they're incompetent, this movie takes place in current time. That's kind of the point. Like, it doesn't take place in the 90s, and doesn't it? Even if it took place in the 2000s, we all
I
have
actually
phones,
don't
we
know
have
that it
Googles.
ever did just like stated when it's taking place.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was
I mean, I would say it's supposed to be like
2019.
Is when it's supposed to take place.
Yes.
Oh, that's 2 years ago. 3 years ago now.
Yeah, because it shows...
That's like the
it-
Stone Age.
I know,
No wonder they couldn't
exactly.
It
solve it.
shows dirt on
I had a
him.
flip phone back then.
Yeah.
It shows dirt on him in 2001, like when they're talking about Bruce Wayne and whatnot. That's from 2001, and then it's 18 years later.
Maybe they
Right,
all
but I
had
mean,
same
is
size
it
notes.
2019?
Is it 2019 America or is it?
Look at Bruce Wayne and all of his
Because
gadgets.
look, if this is 2019, like Estonia,
But it's not Estonia. It's in Gotham, which is technically in, was it New Jersey? Yeah, I think it's New Jersey.
Well, there you go. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
sorry to anyone who's from New Jersey listening to this.
But no, it just...
Right, this is a completely different Jersey Shore. To be honest with you.
It just doesn't make any sense that it was done that way. And again, the only argument that I could hear for it that to me makes sense is the fact that it was his first time going this way, and then eventually he might come up with more clever riddles that are more convoluted. But it just, as a first take of the Riddler, it wasn't good. Like, in my mind. Like, if they just made that killer a serial killer type person, I think it would have held more weight for me as just either a brand new character they came up with, or if there's another killer that I can't think of that's like a true-on, just full serial killer, except all of them are basically serial
I
killers.
think the bigger question I have is if this is going to end up being a standalone or if they're going to keep going.
I mean, with the after-end credits thing, and right before the end,
Joker.
where it showed the Joker, which
You would
now
think so,
probably won't be him anymore, because he just got arrested again.
Who did?
What's his face? Isn't that the guy who plays the Joker in this new one?
Joshua something. I think I read last time I looked.
Oh, I don't remember his name. I'll have to look it up after.
They should get the guy who played him in Gotham.
I agree, but it's not going to be him. It's
pretty good.
Barry Keoghan?
I don't know who that is.
You do know who that is. I just can't think of what he's been.
I know, I've seen him previously, but the laugh at the end was bad.
I just want to see them. I just want to see Robin introduced in like a meaningful way.
I thought they were going to do another movie. I know that Christopher Nolan did his 3 with Christian Bale, but I honestly thought that's a perfect way to go into Robin or Nightwing or something like
Nightwing,
that.
Yeah.
I really wanted Michael Keaton to be old Batman and them to do Batman Beyond.
So, isn't he supposed to be doing old Batman and something?
It would have to be Batman Beyond, right? Old Bruce Wayne?
I thought that got announced that he's reprising his role of Batman for something.
Well, he is, but wasn't that for the Flash?
That's for Flashpoint.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. I don't really like Ezra Miller at all.
I don't know if they're going to release that movie. He just got arrested again.
That's who it is? Yeah. Ezra Miller?
Ezra Miller is the guy that got arrested twice that I was confusing with Barry.
Okay. I don't like him. I think he kind of sucks as the Flash.
I didn't mind him, but he wasn't like a focal point of the movie except for the Snyder Cut, which was way better than the original.
I don't know. When I see the Flash is like one of my favorite heroes. So whenever I see, like the guy who plays Grant Gustin, who plays him on TV shows, is actually pretty good. And then to have them have a movie version and like the movie version be even worse.
I mean, I thought the Snyder Cut was better.
Oh well, yeah,
because you get a lot more information. Like you see the Flash actually like save the girl in the
hot dog scene.
Yeah, see that in the original.
I don't think so.
No,
not as much. Not as much.
But it's almost the exact same scene in the sense of him saving her, him touching the glass, breaking through it. But you get more of a story with him and his dad. That's what you get with the Snyder Cut.
That's true. Yeah.
Which
his dad is Eric Bana, right?
Oh,
am I making that up?
You could be. I don't know.
I think it's Eric Bana, the Hulk,
the
original Hulk. I don't know.
But it's so long. There's like that. There's that finite area in which a movie is long enough to give you enough information, but not too long. And I feel like the Snyder Cut goes above that. It's like what, like 3.5 hours long?
Oh, it's long. But
it has literally intermissions.
Well, it's not intermissions. They just tell you what different parts of the story. There's 8 different parts of the story, I think. But that's not in my mind, if I can have a story that's better than the other story because it's longer, give me that. I'd rather have that than a story that is so cut out, so gray, that didn't really seem to have a specific
Right, couldn't
direction.
you just turn it into like a series? Like a Netflix series?
It absolutely should have. Literally every time they did a thing, like a part 1, part 2.
Like, can you imagine going to the movies and be like, yeah, let's watch the Snyder Cut? Yeah, how much time
have
do
you
you got?
you didn't go see Grindhouse with Quentin Tarantino's
the two back-to-back
movies?
Yeah, it was Grindhouse and I can't remember.
It's the car one.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name of it, but that was like a 3.5 hour movie.
Well,
there was
two
actually
1.5 hour movies.
I think it was 2 2-hour movies.
I mean, Batman.
Well, whatever, but it's 2 movies.
But you see them at the same time. Like you couldn't go see them individually. You literally had to go.
Because that's how they were released. But
correct, and they literally did have an intermission during that one where you could get up, go to the bathroom. It was supposed to be like a throwback to going to drive-ins.
It was a double feature kind of thing that they were going for.
Which was one of those were good, the other one wasn't.
The Batman is long enough on its own. That's a good solid.
I agree with you.
2 hours
it's
and
too
40
long.
minutes.
It's unnecessarily long in a lot of scenes where it's like I felt like they had to stretch out scenes to make it longer for some reason because there are so many scenes in that movie where I'm like, okay, come on, move along, we got this.
Yeah, I don't understand on a few of the scenes. I know prior to this podcast we had talked about the scene where Batman's trying to reach in to grab the Riddler clue inside where the bat is, and it's literally like a 2.5 minute shot for no reason. Like, he's reaching in to grab it, but there's no suspense. It's not like the bat's going to hurt him. They didn't set that up anywhere. He's not afraid of bats like he was in the original Nolan series, which then he becomes not afraid of bats, but when he's a kid, he's afraid of bats. There was none of that.
Do we
They
know?
didn't give us
I
any
mean,
of that.
yeah, they didn't give it to us, but I also think, I mean, they didn't say he's not afraid of bats either.
Sure, but that's a little piece of
I
information.
mean, well, I'm just saying that's a pretty big aspect of Batman's identity is that he fell
he used
into
to be
the well.
afraid of bats, and then he became not afraid of bats. So when he's Batman,
Conquered
not
his fear, yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to spend 2.5 minutes slowly reaching my hand inside to grab this envelope and slowly pull it out. Well, you could have just tipped the thing upside down, dumped the bat out, and then grabbed it.
I mean,
or done.
Well, true, but again, like he's a younger version of Batman. Maybe he hasn't fully conquered his fear yet.
Bat could have had Corona.
But,
I mean, you don't know, man.
Exactly. Again, this
Yeah.
is 2019. This is
pre-COVID.
Roma 19.
so this is how COVID happened. Okay?
We don't
I get
actually
it.
know why he's afraid of the bats, but now we do.
Yeah.
He knew this all along.
Exactly.
All
But
right,
no,
so
it just added too much to the movie, and there's so many scenes like that that needed to be cut. Corey and I talked about
The motorcycle.
The motorcycle
I,
scene again.
I watched it
You
again
just-
last
yeah,
night,
right.
and I agree with that. But at the same time, like the only part that because I specifically watched the end of the movie because I watched it, finish it with the old lady again last night, and the only part that you could cut out that wasn't like meaningful to the story is when they're going through like the middle of the graveyard.
But
Because like they crossed
sure.
the, they
how
crossed
long is
the
that
bridge.
scene? 90 seconds, roughly?
Not even 60 seconds.
Okay, let's say 60 seconds. You couldn't have cut out 30 seconds in the middle of them just driving.
Well, like, so
it
you-
couldn't have been a shorter cemetery.
All right, I'm gonna give you the play-by-play because I did this last night, right? So they're driving. She takes off. He takes off. They're kind of doing like this like playful back and forth thing with the motorcycles. You get to see his new Batman motorcycle, which is fucking really nice looking, by the way. It's like
It added
V6.
nothing to the movie.
Well, it does because
it added nothing to the movie.
he's
for the last
becoming
2
more
seconds.
Batman. He like again, you have this younger developing Batman in this movie, and then sure you can cut out when they're like going like there's like a through the woods scene. Sure, you can cut that out, but then you get like they cross the bridge. And that's like the symbolism of them like getting to the end of their story. She takes a right, he takes a left.
I agree
with
with that.
that. The ending part
But
makes sense.
the playful part is like, I mean, that he could have chosen to go with her, but instead he chooses the city. So like that kind of like symbolizes like they have this like
But you
relationship.
couldn't have got that with 30 seconds. You had to have 60.
Again, you could cut out sections of it, but there really isn't enough that
Look, you cut out everything of them driving through the graveyard and start when they leave the graveyard, and then they still go for a little ways and then divert.
I feel like you guys think that scene is a lot longer than
Oh,
really
it was
is.
long.
I'm telling you, it's the bat scene. I agree with that scene is.
I
much
had time
longer.
to roll my eyes about 15 times, and then finally be like, "Are you kidding me? Why are we still into what is
It was
this?"
pretty long.
And also,
But again, even
look
if
at
you
gas prices right now.
Even if you could...
I don't,
waste
I don't,
of money.
I don't think Bruce Wayne cares about gas prices.
He should. He's broke. They talk about that in the movie. You just watched it. You should know. They talk about him not having money.
Came around it.
I guess I don't remember that part
Yeah,
of
they
him
talk
being
about
broke.
Alfred talks to him about basically having no money. But anyway, so even if you cut out 15 seconds there, if there's so many of those scenes in the movie, those add up. 4 of those is a minute. You know, you take the bat grabbing thing out of there, or cut it down to 5 seconds. You just cut another 15 seconds there. You already saved off 30 seconds of the movie. You keep that going with the rest of the shots that they do. You easily could have made that a 2.5-hour movie, which would have made me less agitated in the theater being in a 2.5-hour movie rather than a 3-hour movie, just because I was already not enjoying myself.
So, have you watched it at home in the comfort of your own
Not
home?
yet. It is on the to-do list.
I feel
the
like that
to-do
is
list.
being in a comfortable setting, not being in
Fair,
a small
movie
seat.
theater. A small seat. Have you not been to Flagship?
Okay, well, I have a 10-foot couch. Do you have a 10-foot couch at the movie theater?
No, but I have one that reclines all the way back that heats up.
But
that-
you
where
have
I
no
get
have no
popcorn.
movement.
What do you mean no movement?
Like
I
you
I
can't get up and move around. You're in
I
the,
can get up and go to the bathroom if I needed to. I can spoon with
Can you?
Corey.
Flagship? Would you mind pausing the movie for a moment Well, I go.
Sure, I'll miss 30 seconds of him riding his motorcycle.
I must
think
stool.
I'm fine.
If anything, getting up to go to the bathroom was a relief because I got to take a break from the movie. I tried to go start watching because I have the theater room now, so I was like, I'm going to watch this in my theater room and see if I enjoy it. I started watching it and was like, you know what, I'd rather watch anything else right now, so I stopped. I'm going to. It's just I have to get myself to give it another chance without bias.
So one of my issues with the movie, and it's not this movie's fault, is that we saw Joker. And have you seen Joker?
The
Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So that movie, we're in that movie's probably like a 2-hour movie, roughly, maybe a little bit longer.
It felt long.
And about an hour and 30 minutes into it, I was bored out of my skull and was not having a good time with that movie. It just felt too, like they were trying to make too much of a artsy type film for this movie. And then the last 30 minutes or so of that movie saved that movie in my mind. And because everything made sense, the whole hour and a half beforehand was perfection because of the last half an hour. So, when I go into a movie, and I'm in a movie that I'm not enjoying, and again, that's not the Batman's fault, but I was not enjoying the Batman, I was still hoping that there would be something to pull it together at the end. Something that made everything go, okay, this is fantastic. It was worth the slog to get here because of how good of a movie it is or how good of an ending it was that literally tied everything together. And because of the Joker now, I'm basically going to do that with all movies. I'm going to judge them on that scale if they can become this masterpiece in the end, and not many movies do that.
The Batman just kind of doubled down on all the things we didn't like throughout the movie.
And the fight
scenes. I feel like the only part that I would say the only part, but like I figured that you guys would be a lot more critical on like the preachiness of it. Especially like, so he has more monologue than any other Batman out.
That didn't bother me. You know what else bothered me?
Part of that's a 3-hour movie.
At the end, like he just talks about like
stuff.
Yeah, for like that is the longest part of the movie. Like he's just continuing, like when they're on the rooftop and he's saving the people in broad daylight. When you have the army there to help out people too.
No. You know what? Other than the stuff that was way too long, the biggest problem I had with that movie, and I know KJ agrees, is how many times he gets like knocked down to the point where like you think he's on his deathbed, and then 2 seconds later he's throwing punches like it was no big deal. I understand Batman always gets back up. You know, Alfred there, I went to the accent because you guys made fun of me last time.
Not a good accent.
But, you know, you always get yourself back up. But whatever. At the same time, he gets like shotgunned in the face and gets knocked down and then is getting back up right away. He
took liquid adrenaline.
Yeah, he did take liquid. That's where he took the liquid.
Sure, but he also sacrificed himself and then is
oh god, that
fine
was
2
a horrible
seconds later.
scene when he jumped into the water.
Yeah, he's like, I'll sacrifice myself for Gotham. And then he's up in like 2 seconds. He's like, turns out, guys, the water is pretty deep. I'm okay.
Yeah, the fact that a lot of these movies don't have consequences for their heroes, or for even the villains, because they're setting up a sequel or a trilogy or a universe that there's not real stakes at play. I mean, even Batman v Superman, where they killed Superman, they didn't. You look, even
Dark Knight Rises, I will say, had the benefit of, like, he broke his back, and he obviously was going to save the day and beat Bane eventually.
He broke his back and healed very quickly, though.
Well, he healed quickly, but you also got to see that journey. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm a superhero, so I instantly heal and I'm good to go.
Well, no, you got to see a...
Monologue?
No, not monologue.
I mean, not monologue.
I'm drawing a blank. What it is, like Rocky.
No, I'm thinking of South Park when they
had... that's the Rocky.
Yeah, I know. I just can't think what it's called.
Montage.
Yeah.
You basically got a montage of him trying to strengthen his back and become Batman again. So
but you get an explanation of how he got over it.
Yes, a crappy one.
I'm just
okay.
Yeah, I'm just fine.
I got shotgun in the face.
Did you not see the logo on my chest? I'm Batman. I'm okay.
Well, I mean, he got shotgunned in the chest. The gunshot force of the hunting rifles would have been more pounds per square inch than birdshot at that same.
Well, that's assuming they were using birdshot, not slugs. But that's not even the part we're talking about that's the worst. It's when he gets electrocuted, I think?
He jumps in the water to
But like he
Save-
grabs the wire
yeah.
and he gets electrocuted by a giant. It's the thing from.
He's not. So he's not even electrocuted. He's not grounded. It's like the same idea as when a bird sits on the power line.
But he's movie electrocuted. Like they definitely implied he got electrocuted.
Yeah,
the electricity breaks.
I understand
on the line,
understand.
but not on him.
But it's like in Star Wars when there's big fiery explosions in space. It's not real. But in this, he was supposed to be electrocuted. Is what they were going for. I agree with you. He was in the middle of the air, so why would he be? Although if he's holding the wire and he hits the water,
the whole movie. And I'm surprised that is the part that you guys picked up on.
That's not the only part. There's others. That's just a big one.
yeah, we've listened.
How many people died in the chase scene?
0.
Do you think so?
They showed
They
none
blew
of it.
up a tanker truck
They
with people
showed
driving.
nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Like
There are-
Batman is
there are
supposed
no
to save
stakes.
all these people.
There's no stakes.
Batman saves all these people. He probably killed 75 people on the interstate.
See, it's one of the reasons. So, like, look at Batman v Superman. Not a good movie, but they show it from Batman's perspective that Superman in Man of Steel just battled Zod and destroyed a bunch of cities and buildings, and people died. And it showed there was actually stakes. In this movie, like you just said, there are no stakes. Everybody's going to be fine. It doesn't show people die. They could have died. We don't know. But everybody looks to be fine. They don't talk about it on the news that there was this giant race down the street and 70 people died of this explosion. They don't say anything. And then the bad villain survives. Batman survives. Everybody survives.
I was just thinking they should have had Robert Pattinson play Morbius, because then he would be a vampire. He'd be a vampire superhero, and then he'd be a
vampire
super. It'd be like the versions of Robert Pattinson as he works
I'm
his
just
way.
saying, like,
the evolution of
yeah,
it.
it's the evolution.
His whole goal is to find this guy who's killing elite people, and in chasing the Penguin, single-handedly helped probably kill 100 people.
You're not wrong. But it's a different take on him. Maybe he's a murderer too.
Well, that was my biggest complaint. I know you liked Man of Steel, but
did like
my
Man of
biggest
Steel.
complaint was when he killed Zod.
And that is actually a perfect thing for that movie if it wasn't the first movie.
And
Like,
it also didn't make sense. If he had enough strength to break Zod's neck and stop him from lasering people with his eyes, then he easily would have also been able to just move his head so he wasn't able to.
Well, it wasn't about necessarily moving his head. It's the fact that Zod would have kept coming, and then that's why he had to kill him. But again, at least in like the comics and whatnot, they bring him to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, the Phantom Zone.
And so that would have been my take for that. He should have somehow been banished to a Phantom Zone or something like
It
that.
was just Zack
and then
Snyder
he
likes
would've-
dark stories. is what
I'm
it
fine with the
was.
darkness. There should be that.
Wasn't he in the Phantom Zone to begin with and then left?
No, there was no Phantom Zone in Man of Steel.
No.
Zod-
I think
Zod is
I think
expelled
they were,
to the
and then
Phantom Zone.
and then their ship. Their
Yes.
ship was sent to the Phantom Zone. They escaped.
Not
it
by Superman. You mean by
by
Krypton.
Krypton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
For crime.
if you're Superman and you know that this ship has just left from the
How
Phantom
does he
Zone,
know
Well, I
that,
don't think
by
he
the way?
does know that.
Yeah. He doesn't know that it
Unless
went to-
Jor-El tells him. I don't remember.
Jor-El could.
I gotta
I gotta
rewatch that
rewatch
movie
it.
too.
It's a
Yeah,
good one. But
I'm sure at some point
Either way,
he
this
knows.
is
He's like, where did these guys come from? And they're
This
like,
is
we
still
got
the-
exiled from the Phantom
This
Zone.
is the first bad guy that he's come up against that's been like a bad guy in this movie in Man of Steel. The first bad guy that has extra powers, and his first instinct eventually is just like, I'll kill him. Like it doesn't fit with the character. So in my mind, if he would have sent him back to the Phantom Zone, or would have imprisoned him somehow with kryptonite, or whatever they would have done, and then like 2 or 3 movies later he escapes, shows that he literally cannot be contained, and then he kills him, I'm fine with that story. And I actually loved Man of Steel. I enjoyed that movie quite a lot, except for that ending. It would have made more sense to me, because you would have had more of a connection to who Superman was at that point.
I just wish they had done it more like Batman vs Superman. No, I'm just
Where
kidding.
Martha, means everything.
Martha. Yeah, that.
Well, that's
part
the thing
was
that
bad.
drives me nuts about Zack Snyder's vision sometimes. Is like it's very dark and gritty, and then on the other hand, oh, your mom's name's Martha?
Mine too. Did we just become best
did
friends?
We just become best friends.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's the juxtaposition of it makes no sense. It's very weird. Doesn't seem to fit in his universe.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But anyway, back to the Batman. What did we... the other people that were in the movie. Like, I know Corey and I talked while we were watching the movie and shortly thereafter, where we actually liked Colin Farrell being Penguin. I thought he did a really good portrayal
a lot
of
of
Penguin.
scenes were cut.
Were they?
Yeah, that's what I read. That like a lot of his, and I think he was interviewed saying that like he felt kind of shortchanged with the character because we won't get to see, or we.
The movie was 3 hours and they cut things.
And apparently, if he's right, they cut good stuff for that crap.
Every DC movie is now just Snyder cut,
right?
Yeah.
They just can't make
Matt.
movies
Is it
anymore.
Matt Reeves? Is his name?
I think so.
Director. Yeah. I don't know. More importantly, because I don't think I can talk about that shitty movie anyway.
It is Matt Reeves.
Like I said, I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman. I just think he was in a bad movie. But who's your favorite Batman? Or rank them, I guess I should say.
I don't even have to rank them. Who is your favorite?
Okay,
so we have
who's your
George
favorite?
Clooney, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, Adam West, Val Kilmer, Will Arnett if you count the Lego
And I'm
movie.
going to add the caveat that you can claim a Batman, even if he was in more than one movie, you can claim him from one specific movie as your favorite. Because Christian Bale, for instance, first movie, the Batman voice was good. Second movie, it was like the one thing I didn't like about Dark Knight is I felt like he was forcing it. And he even said that in an interview, like he felt like he was always trying to keep up with Heath Ledger. And he thought he overacted. And he's like, if I could go back and do that movie again and change my performance, I would.
Yeah, I liked the movies, and I agree that Christian Bale was trying to like be very vocally strong as Batman.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite Batman out of all the Batmans? Is it Christian Bale?
I mean, there was a good movie, and he played it well. I'm kind of biased always towards the animated series. I grew up watching Batman the animated series. The voice actor that plays that Batman just sounds like Batman should. I don't know who.
Kevin Conroy. Yeah.
Kevin Conroy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
He actually plays live action Batman in the Teen Titans show on DC. Well, it used to be DC Universe, now it's on HBO Max. But if you haven't watched Titans, it's actually pretty good.
Yep.
So I remember that as a kid. That. But, okay, let's talk about live action ones. For an actual live action...
For me, it's Christian Bale, Batman Begins, which I also think is my favorite Batman movie.
That's your favorite Batman movie? That is so weird to me.
Ra's al Ghul is...
Ra's al Ghul?
Ra's is actually how you say his name.
Ra's.
Yeah. Anyway, Ra's al Ghul is, other than maybe the Joker, is my favorite Batman villain because... especially in that story, because he basically
uses
trained
magic.
Well, he trained him basically, and like he's not. It's kind of copying from Marvel, where he's not necessarily an awful bad guy. Like, you know how Marvel always has redeemable qualities about their bad guys.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul is like, I want to make Gotham better, but I'll do that by burning it to the ground and then starting over.
Right, like that, not anti-hero, but like...
And he's been around long enough that his way obviously probably works. It's just, not very popular when you're killing a million people.
Yeah, so no to both of you guys. It's Michael Keaton. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
And Batman Returns is probably my favorite Batman movie of all time.
Batman Returns?
Yes, with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, Danny DeVito as Penguin. That's easily the best one. And Christopher Walken.
I understand, like, if you didn't read comics, watch the animated series when you were a kid or whatever, but the Penguin in that movie, and it's nothing against Danny DeVito. I know it was... what's his name? Timothy Burton's?
Yeah, Tim Burton, yeah.
His
vision
of it, but that was just weird.
I don't disagree with you that it was weird, but it's still a fantastic...
It's very 80s-esque, and again, I watched the trailer for it. What's that?
It was in the 90s.
It was in the 90s, right, but it's very like...
Tim Burton.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still think that Keaton... was very over the top Batman. Like when he does things, it's like his motions are very like.
Keaton was a better Bruce
jolty.
Wayne than he was a Batman.
Yes,
that's
sure.
the other thing.
Agreed.
Like, he was a great Bruce Wayne. As a Batman, he was okay.
See, I disagree.
And that's why I said Batman Begins is the best, because I think it's where Christian Bale is best as Bruce Wayne. because he's kind of having to lie about who he is and stuff. And then in the other movies, that's basically it's not important. Like, it's not a big part of the story that he's, pretending to be whoever. And then as Batman, I also think he's really cool because he's just starting out. You get to see him become Batman and not already be
The
established.
worst part of the Nolan movies are the love interest nonsense. With Katie Holmes in the first one, then the person that replaces Katie Holmes in the second one, I can't remember her name.
It's Maggie Gyllenhaal. She's Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
And then the third one, it's just, all of it's just not good.
Well, the third one is, it's kind of two people. It's Catwoman and it's Talia al Ghul.
Yeah, I would more or less talk about Talia.
Yeah. I still love the college humor. It's like, I tricked you, and he's like, that's what you
had sex? Like, all right.
But we had sex, like, a lot. All part of my evil ploy. Oh, sign me up for another. Such a good.
But yeah, so from...
What's that called? Batman?
Me, Batman.
And it's Pete Holmes, I think?
Pete Holmes is the person that... the comedian that plays it. He also does the X-Men ones, which are hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen that one, yeah. I like Batman more, but yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it's Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman, and my favorite movie is Batman.
I also think we're all just discounting anything before Michael Keaton's Batman because nobody's even brought up like Adam West or the 60s movies.
I mean, Adam West was on the list that I mentioned earlier, but again, those weren't movies. That was a TV.
They had movies.
With Adam
1963 was the first one, and then they had another one in the 60s.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But that to me is more of the like, I put those in the same realm of the cartoon.
The movies, they were in the Bat helicopter, and Robin's flying it, and Batman's hanging on to like the rope ladder, and the shark jumps up and bites him, and he goes, "Quick, Robin, grab me the bat shark repellent." He throws down an aerosol can, and he just sprays the shark, and it falls off.
Which is funny because you see it in like the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "What about the Lego shark repellent?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess you can play with that."
Yeah, so and that's Will Arnett. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's good as the voice.
He's really good. But also, one I didn't mention in here, but it's a video game, but it's Mark Hamill. Does Joker phenomenally.
Oh, I was going to say this.
Mark Hamill is for sure the
But I'm saying people that are doing different voices, it's hard not to.
All right, who's your least favorite Batman? Because that's harder. Because, I mean, Val Kilmer, I would probably go...
Clooney.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're all on it. But part of that, though, is a god-awful movie.
The movie was awful.
It's so bad. And he doesn't play a good Batman in it, but that movie is so bad.
He had nipples.
He has nipples. He whips out a credit card, never leave home without it.
Yeah.
It's just...
It is hard for me, though, because those are the ones that I have nostalgia for. Because that's what I watched. But
it doesn't make them good movies, though. It just means you're a nostalgic
But he was it him with the Riddler? That was him. Yeah.
No, that's Batman Forever.
That's Val Kilmer?
Yeah. He is
Clooney was
with
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Poison
Ivy.
Ivy.
But that's the same movie, but there were two with Clooney, wasn't there?
No, I think there's only one with Clooney.
I'm pretty sure there's one
Batman and Robin.
And then there's Batman Forever.
Batman Forever is Kilmer. Val Kilmer.
Batman Returns? No.
No. So Batman and Batman Returns are
Look up
both,
right now. Make sure
I have it.
Yeah,
Batman
there's only one with Clooney.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Batman and Batman Returns are Keaton. Batman Forever is with Val Kilmer. And then Batman and Robin is with George Clooney.
And there's not another one?
There's not another one. That's the last one, and probably because of how bad it was. Until Nolan took it and did his trilogy with it.
But so Chris O'Donnell, who plays Robin,
is in Batman Forever. Right? Or no, Batman and Robin.
I know, but I thought he was in another one because
Chris O'Donnell was in Batman Forever.
That's it.
And then he might be he's in Batman and Robin. Right?
Batman Forever. So he was in one with Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, and he was also
that's why I was confused because I knew he was in two. Because there's the one where he actually becomes Robin, and then there's the one where they have Batgirl. Or whatever.
Riddler is Batman Forever. That's also Two-Face.
Yeah, I dressed up as Riddler when I was a kid.
I'm sure you do.
My mom made the Iron
the new one with
I don't think you have to dress up. It's just who you are.
As Riddler?
No, Two-Face.
Oh, I said Riddler.
No, I wasn't paying attention when you were talking. Yeah. All right.
It's hurtful.
It sounds hurtful.
So we're all in the same opinion that George Clooney was probably the worst Batman. To me, mostly because it was just a bad movie.
Agreed.
But I will say the Robert Pattinson in this newest one, I wasn't a giant fan of him in this movie either. Like, he's probably my second least favorite Batman, but I think there's potential for it.
Better question is least favorite Batman movie, because I think we all agree that we hate the one with George Clooney, but how much do you hate this new one?
The Batman and Robin is worse.
It is.
Batman
Because
and
at least this one has good cinematography, and this one has some interesting characters. People do decent. Penguin's great in this.
Although
I didn't
I
mind.
like all the Batman and Robin
Toys.
Yeah, the car is sweet.
To be fair, I think that's,
And I like the scenes with Bane and Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. It's really the Arnold Schwarzenegger as
it's
Mr.
so
Freeze.
campy. All of it's so campy.
But it's the same thing. People hate the original Fantastic Four
It's
movies.
because it's a bad movie.
No, they're just cartoony
No, they're
and
bad
campy.
movies.
Which, if you like the comics and you grew up watching it, that's also
Batman
cartoony
and
campy.
Batman Returns are both campy and whatnot, but it works. Both of those are great.
Batman and what?
Batman and Batman Returns with Michael Keaton are both campy because it's Tim
Yeah,
Burton.
yeah.
And they're great. I'm saying, so I can differentiate between good campy and bad campy. And Fantastic Four, the original or whatever, wasn't good.
Yeah, it was better than the new one they did.
Oh, well, yeah, but anything is better than that. The Batman is better than that.
Well, yeah.
So you like Jim Carrey as Riddler better than this
100%
Riddler?
without even blinking.
Oh, yeah.
I hate Jim Carrey
No. You hate Jim Carrey or hate
Whoa,
Jim Carrey
yeah.
as
as
Riddler?
the Riddler.
Okay, thank you. Just need to
It's
clarify
going to
that.
be like, oh, shut
Like,
this podcast down.
How is he a better Riddler?
Okay, so that Riddler, at least in my mind, when I'm watching that movie, one, it's more...
Find
in the-
a riddle that is smarter.
Wow,
He has smarter riddles than that.
Yeah, I'd have to go through... I'd have to go through that movie again to go over the riddles, because I haven't watched that movie in forever, but I have watched, obviously, the Batman within this last month or so. But anyway, the Riddler in that movie ends up being somebody that gets looked over, and that's why he becomes the Riddler. And that's what they try to do in this new movie, but there's no interaction, there's no backstory.
Well, there's no backstory to this one that you know of. I mean,
Well,
but again,
he mentions it. He mentions it when they're doing not the interrogation, but when Batman is on the other side of the glass.
Wasn't he like a kid that was getting funding from that Gotham fund or whatever? And then the money wasn't really going to him, and that's like the whole reason.
I think so.
That's like the whole thing. He's killing people who were a part of the
part of that
stealing the money.
corruption.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they give you a little bit of insight of why he's doing it, but that's not... Riddler was a person that wanted to be known and needs attention, which this Riddler tried to do too, but there was no basis for it besides for, hey, look at all, you guys are all corrupt, you guys shouldn't have your money, which isn't the same Riddler that I'm used to, which is the Riddler that got kind of glossed over and looked past and never got taken seriously, so he made them take him seriously. He made himself stand out in a crowd. So for me, he was a better Riddler, hands down. Not to mention his interpretation of the Riddler in that movie worked perfectly for that movie. This interpretation of that character in this movie, I just didn't feel worked. It was too much like a serial killer and not enough Riddler aspect of it. And he just it didn't sync up to what I was hoping for with this movie.
I honestly think the villains that were in Gotham were some
That's
of
what I
the
was gonna say, like-
best interpretations.
Yeah,
like the Riddler, 100 times better.
You're talking
in
about the TV
Gotham.
show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the Joker was really good. I don't know if I'd say he's better than Heath Ledger, but he was probably more traditional than Heath Ledger's version was by a long shot. And then, let's see, Oswald, the Penguin, was great. They even had, they had obscure people. Like,
I don't know. I like the Batman Oswald better.
You like the Batman Oswald better?
Yeah, the Batman Penguin
Oh yeah,
better than the Penguin from
Danny DeVito?
No, the Batman.
Like you're saying you like the Batman better
Colin
than
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell better than
All of them?
better than the one from Gotham.
I don't agree. But
I think the one in Gotham got fleshed out more. So that's why it's easier for me to pick the one from Gotham. Because it got fleshed out more, you knew more about his character. You get almost everything about him because he's a main character in the show. You don't get that in this movie. And as Corey mentioned, they cut out a bunch of scenes, so he didn't even become as big of a character as he could be in this movie. Granted, if they would have added another 30 minutes to this movie, I might have blown my brains out. But it just... There's more to it from a TV show aspect of it. And I think that's most things nowadays, where if you have a TV show, you have the ability to dive into depth.
Mike looks like he's trying to figure out how to get them to add 30 more minutes. Like you said that, and he was like...
It's for like all motorcycle scenes, so they can keep playing. Yeah, it just didn't work.
You have a will, right?
No, and I feel like they tried to put a lot into one movie, like a lot of different characters. You have, all the different crime families and everything all into one movie, which would be difficult.
You don't care about half of the characters. Like, can you name what the guys?
Did you care about the Penguin besides the fact that it was Colin Farrell and you knew it was the Penguin?
Yeah.
If you didn't know it was the Penguin and it was somebody else's name, or you didn't know the Penguin's history, what does that character matter in this movie? Nothing at all until the ending, where he potentially looks like he might take over, and they might be doing an HBO show on it, which if they do, I'll watch it. We'll see how it is.
I hated it, but I'll watch it.
Well, no, if you did a TV show, I mean, you look at the original Suicide Squad, that was garbage, and then they redid the Suicide Squad with James Gunn, and
we did Suicide Squad. They took out the...
No, it was my bad.
I didn't like either Suicide Squad.
Oh, the second one was good.
Well, do you at least admit the second one was better than the first?
Sure.
Okay.
But that's not saying much.
I agree it's not saying much, but it's so much better. And then did you watch Peacemaker?
I haven't watched Peacemaker.
Oh, you should.
So good.
Yeah, that is on my
It should
on
be
my
on like
HBO
top
list.
of your list.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even watch them. You could have got through like 4 episodes.
John Cena.
Yeah, it's John Cena. It's so good. Like, since he transitioned into being a funny actor rather than his serious roles that he tried to do.
The Marine.
Which was such a bad movie. He's so funny. That movie where he's in the train wreck is great.
He's in the train wreck.
Yeah, with Amy Schumer.
Are you talking about train wreck?
The train wreck, yeah.
It's not, they're not actually in a train wreck. They call it train wreck because she's
I understand. I didn't say that they were in a train wreck.
You did. You said the one where he's in a train wreck.
No, I said the one where he's in a train wreck.
I also thought it was like an actual physical train wreck.
No, there was no actual physical train wreck. No,
I do love that one when they're in the movie theater.
I will enter
the guy in the back, he goes, I will fuck you. And he goes, did you just try to rape that guy?
But yeah, and then he's in, what is it, Cock Blockers, which is also another funny movie, and then the one that was on Hulu.
I can never say his last name. The other guy that's in Cock Blockers.
Oh, I don't remember.
He was in the league, too.
Yeah, I don't remember
as
his
the
name.
Seed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I do not.
No, he's not the Seed, but he was a friend of the Seed.
Yeah, I do not remember his name as an actor.
It's like
he's in a bunch of things.
Haltz or something. I don't know how to pronounce it.
But anyway, so yes, when you get a chance, do watch Peacemaker. So, was there anybody in the Batman's performance? Well, what we were talking about before was like the Penguin. Like, I liked Colin Farrell's portrayal of the Penguin, but if you didn't know it was Penguin, it made no difference in that movie who he was. He could have just been a thug that had some information that he gave to Batman and Gordon. Like, it made no difference. So the families really didn't play into anything. And then the reveal that Catwoman is Falcone's half daughter or whatever they were playing it up as I think we all kind of expected
that's new,
it.
right? Like Selena Kyle was never Falcone's half daughter. Like, that's not.
I've never heard of
DC canon.
I've never heard of it either. Again, it's a different take, which is fine. But it seemed pretty obvious.
Different strokes for different.
In the very beginning, where they first see each other, that seemed a bit obvious to me. It was either he slept with her. It was either he slept with her or she was his kid. It was one or the other.
Hopefully not both.
So like, it wasn't like a reveal or anything like that, but I didn't mind her, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I thought she was fine. I didn't mind Colin Farrell as I think was probably the best. Jeffrey Wright, who did Gordon, I thought he was okay, but he didn't really add too much to the movie.
The problem is Gary Oldman was like perfect.
God, he was so good.
Perfect as Jim Gordon.
Yeah. Not to mention, you did get 3 movies of that. Maybe we'll get 3 movies of the Batman. Hopefully not all 3 hours long. And maybe
9 hours of Batman.
It's one of the things that sucks about like so many characters from Gotham, like I was talking about, because the guy who plays Harvey Bullock is really good too. But again, it's a TV show; it's not in a movie.
Sure, but doesn't mean you can't. You shouldn't be able to. That shouldn't disqualify them from being recast.
I don't think they've ever had Harvey Bullock in a Batman as like a character that has more than like, oh, that's Harvey, like as a cameo that kind of is for fans to catch, if anything, but never as like a big character that matters.
I can't think of him. I can't think of him in any Batman movie.
I think I was trying to think, because I think maybe one of the like older ones, like pre-Christian Bale, he is in a scene or something where they, you hear his name and that's it. You know what I mean? But I don't think there's any ones where he actually is a prominent character with multiple lines.
So he's in Batman Begins.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't think he's in much for the whole series, and I think that's just like a Easter egg type of thing where they mention him.
I always liked his character because like Jim Gordon's the hero cop and Harvey Bullock's like a decent, like he's kind of gray, like he's a decent guy, won't cross certain lines.
Long-term cop.
Yeah,
been there
like
too
an
long.
alcoholic and kind of he's dirty in some ways but not in others.
So what about Falcone? John Turturro, I think is how I say his last name. I didn't mind him, but I didn't think he added.
It's hard, awful because every time I see him, I think of him in Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler. He's like
with the feet.
Yeah, you underestimated their speediness. Yeah,
and very very sneaky.
Yeah, very very sneaky. But I can't take him seriously because he's been in so many comedic kind of roles that like when I saw him doing that, I was just like
I just see him like Transformers.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh, was he the cop in or the FBI agent in Transformers? Right?
Section 7.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't think he was bad in it, but I didn't think he added much to the character.
It's just another instance of where I don't think it's who I would have cast.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that I've seen a lot in movies lately. It's like the casting decisions just seem like skewed. Because you can say what you want about the 90s.
Who will take the smallest paycheck that we can fit into this movie?
Well, I don't know if it's that or it's like. I know a lot of times there's packages, so like if you take them for this, they agree to do some smaller movie for you too as a studio.
Sometimes they also, and even the bigger actors, they read for it. I mean, like Zoe obviously read for hers, and she's like the second or third main character, depending on how you want to look at the movie.
She's not a big actress either.
Agreed, but I'm just saying you had to, but they didn't have that part specifically for somebody.
I wish they had done a Bat flick. Ben Affleck movie.
They did. Batman vs Superman. It was awesome.
No. I wish they had done as standalone. And it should have been The Dark Knight Rises.
Again? The Dark Knight Rises again. Dark Knight Rises once more.
Coming on back. Seriously though, isn't Dark Knight Rises title of the storyline where he's older Batman and...
No. Are you talking about when he's like riding on horseback shooting people?
Yes.
That's not called The Dark Knight Rises.
What is that called?
I will find it.
I should know. I've read the comics for it, and I've also watched the animated movie, which is really good. Dark Knight.
Well, that did not help me.
Anyway, they should have done it with Ben Affleck doing that, because they already had him with the costume from it, so why not?
Yeah. Well, part of the issue is that he decided to leave after everybody hated both Batman vs Superman and then Justice League. But I was honestly curious to see the other two Justice Leagues that they were setting up with the first one, especially after the Snyder Cut. There looked to be a lot of material there that they could do that I would have been interested in. I don't think it would have been cinematography history if they did it, but it still would have been something worthwhile to enjoy. That would have been like a solid trilogy of movies. Like if you think of Avengers and then Avengers Age of Ultron and then Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, you got 4 movies that basically culminate in something big, and I think I've already lost track of their names. Justice League could have done. They could have had their culmination of 3 movies in some epic thing. It could have played out that way, but we're never going to see it now. Even though, like, Justice League Snyder Cut is more highly rated than regular Justice League.
It was The Dark Knight Returns for those who are
Returns.
Yeah, and it's one of the best comic book runs, and it's a miniseries, I guess. And then it's also really good animated movie
But
too.
I did think they were going to do that with him.
They
too.
should have. And that would have made sense when they did Batman vs Superman 2, which I think they kind of did that. I mean, they mimicked a lot of what was in the comic run for it. So, like, he has a mechanical suit, and he uses kryptonite against Superman, but, like, everything else about it, Doomsday can, like... They basically cherry-pick things that fit what they wanted to do with that movie, which is what I hate when they do stuff.
Well, they were also...
Star Wars is doing that right now, and like... They're taking things from the expanded universe that they said is not real anymore.
It's not canon.
Yeah, and then they take the parts they want and leave out the best parts behind. So it's...
Well, so I'm fine when things do that, except for the leaving the best part thing. Like, I'm fine if you pick and choose as long as you give the good stuff.
Like, they
So
pull
the
Thrawn
thing
back in, and then they don't do the Thrawn trilogy as the sequel. Like, that should have been the sequel series. It was the New York Times bestseller for a reason. It's one of the reasons we still were talking about Star Wars before the prequels were made.
Well, we haven't gotten to the point where we could do Thrawn stuff.
How about
yet,
we
too.
jump
I mean,
into
Thrawn?
Star Wars later, boys?
Thrawn could definitely be in.
Okay, what if
Ahsoka.
Batman fought Darth Vader? And he had an hour to prepare. I always hate when it's one of those things when we were in school, in high school, my friends would always try to make the argument that the Hulk could beat Superman. And I always used to go, well, what version? Because Superman flies around the world and he goes back in time in Superman 2.
Well, you also got like Superman M, in which he like sits in the sun for 1,000 years, gaining all the power, and is literally like omnipotent Superman.
You gotta give Batman a lot of credit for just like
Going one-on-one,
yeah.
This guy can tear the planet in half. I'm gonna punch him in the face.
I think that's part of the Superman aspect that he's withholding every time he does anything.
I love
because if
that.
he doesn't, he will literally obliterate somebody.
Yeah.
Like what's that TV show you made me watch with the comic Invincible?
Invincible.
Yeah, where literally he doesn't hold back and just starts murdering
What
everybody.
a great show. Have you watched that?
Invincible?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a different comic run. I think it's by Frank Miller, who did The Dark Knight
It is Frank
Returns, Batman 2. So at first you're gonna be like, oh, they're just mimicking stuff from Justice League and stuff, and then just watch the first episode. Just for everybody who might be listening to this, all two of you, you watched the entirety of the first episode. KJ almost bailed out.
I almost bailed.
And trust me, if you watch through the whole first episode, you will be hooked, and you will watch the rest of the season overnight.
Yes, it's that good. It's one of those endings where you go, holy shit, I'm watching this forever.
Yeah, it goes from like 0 to 10 real fast.
In like the best possible way that makes sense.
And this
for
is
everything.
about Superman doing what?
It's not Superman, but it's a character that's basically like Superman. He's got, I think he has heat vision, right? Yeah.
He's got everything. He's basically.
So he
Superman.
doesn't hold back, right? So what's that? What's that movie that came out a while back about the kid that
Brightburn.
Brightburn. I thought that was a good movie too.
I liked it. Yeah. I mean, that literally was Superman. This one has a different story for the character and stuff.
That one wasn't Superman, but it was Superman.
True.
I mean, it was Superman.
They weren't allowed to do that.
I don't know
Pretty sure
how they
got
didn't
sued.
just call him Superman. Like, the symbols. The symbol, it looks like it might be a weird S.
It's an upside down S. It's fine.
Instead of a red cape, I have a red hood.
Like the only other version of Superman that I want to see is the Red Sun.
Oh, the Russian one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool. There's an animated movie. DC animated movies is the one thing they do better than Marvel.
But I don't understand why, if you're going to do an animated movie,
Yeah.
how you can't translate that into live action. And even if it's shot for shot, the exact same thing, just done in live action, how is that hard? They always want to add on these other things that don't make sense, and they try to convolute the movie, either adding another character so they can sell more merchandise or whatever the reason behind it is.
the one thing that would
Like
make
the Long
DC
Halloween would have been another good movie to make.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Dark Knight Returns is like by far my favorite animated DC movie run or movie. I guess there's two parts to it. Definitely worth watching. And then, I don't know. I also really liked, Long Halloween was good too. Actually, that just came out last year too. Or something,
Yeah,
right?
Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2.
Hush was a good one too. You didn't watch that one?
Nope.
Yeah, no idea.
So you're considerably more DC than I am. I've started watching the
Marvel made good animated movies. I've seen every live action Marvel movie, but the animated Marvel movies are junk. And honestly, the cartoons are also quite junk. Like, other than original Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man the animated series is great.
Well, there's a bunch of the Spider-Man ones that are phenomenal.
But
what about like the Spider-Man, like the
multiverse? Was
multiverse?
really good.
X-Men.
X-Men.
X-Men's really good.
So you got Spider-Man, X-Men, and that's it. There's no, I
got nothing else.
Because there was an Iron Man series. All the other ones you see, they had one season, they were off. They had a Fantastic Four, they had an Iron Man, they had a...
I liked the Iron Man series. I thought that was cool.
You were the only one because they canceled that thing.
Oh, I'm sure they canceled it, but...
But you had, like, Spider-Man that went many seasons. You had X-Men that went many seasons.
Great series, and it got canceled because it was on MTV.
Oh, God. Yeah, the Spider-Man one.
The Spider-Man on MTV with Neil Patrick Harris playing Spider-Man was awesome. The animation style was so cool. Everything about it was good.
The new animated series is what it's called.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah,
I agree. It didn't last very long. I think it was only
one season.
Yeah,
because it was on MTV, which made
was
no
so
sense.
weird to be on MTV, but it was good.
They obviously shopped it around, and MTV made it off.
Yeah,
but
I understand, but it's still weird to be on MTV.
Yeah, MTV was probably trying to change its image again because they've done that like 10 times since they started.
Now it's literally no music.
It's just ridiculousness constantly. It's basically
literally ridiculousness.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Is that show with that stupid guy?
Rob
Dyrdek, yeah.
Dyrdek, yeah.
Stupid.
So, you're not into the DC animated stuff, maybe?
No, I do. I've started watching a lot more, but like I said, I watched the Long Halloween. I thought that was really good. I loved the Batman animated series. I grew up watching that, so it's kind of like that.
Have you watched the Justice League TV show is good too, but have you watched any of the Justice League movies they've put out?
No.
So Justice League War is when Apocalypse comes, and that one's really cool. It's like the introduction to the Justice League, so they all like group up for the first time to fight Apocalypse and or Darkseid.
I was going to say Apocalypse.
Yeah. I was going to say I thought that was X-Men, which was Marvel.
Darkseid, but he's from Apocalypse. That's why I was thinking that. But anyway, so Darkseid comes and they fight him off, and that's a really good one. And then they have some follow-ups, like I think they have one called Lord of Atlantis or something. Obviously about Aquaman, that's pretty good. But yeah, War is by far the best.
So if we're talking about live action ones, what's your favorite live action DC movie? You can include the Batmans, I guess, but we did already kind of discuss them. Is there another one that's not back?
DC movie?
Yeah.
I mean, Batman, Christopher Nolan, fucking
Which
ones. One? Dark Knight, probably.
Probably Dark Knight, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like there are a few that stand out to me. Obviously, the Batman.
Green Lantern.
Oh, it's so bad. The fact that they greenlit 3 movies before they even finished shooting the first one, and then immediately took that back as soon as the first one aired.
Wonder Woman was quite good, but I don't know if I'd say it's in my favorite.
It's up there.
I hated the end of Wonder Woman.
The first one,
the second one,
or 84.
Well, I didn't like 84 at all.
Yeah,
I hated the end of
Aquaman was good too, though.
Are you talking about the so easy reveal of who the villain was and then their fight?
Yes, and just everything about the villain. Yeah, exactly. Like the last 10 minutes of the movie was awful.
I don't disagree with that, but that is a very
that's the
opposite trope.
That's the opposite version of what you had with the Joker movie. Like it was like lead up, and then Ares, this god of war, is just awful.
Yeah,
and
it was very obvious who he was.
Yeah, and then the CGI version of him is just terrible.
Lewis is the actor.
But it wasn't good. But everything up to that moment where they just have that, what is it, a 5-10 minute battle at the most, everything up to that is great. Yeah, but I also learned that if you go back and watch Captain America, Wonder Woman is basically Captain America. If you go watch those both movies, it's not a shot-for-shot remake, but a lot of the whole getting a band together and going to fight this war and doing all these things, it's basically Captain America, the First Avenger, which is a good movie too, but done with Wonder Woman, and it was a fine movie. It was probably the best movie that DC had done in years since the Batman movies.
Did DC have a big theme in Marvel is the superhero serum, obviously. Is there a DC equivalent of that? Just trying to think. There's no like serum that makes any like anyone on the Justice League is
Bane, theoretically.
well, yeah, I guess. But like, there's no member on the Justice League that's improved, like is strong because of
Cyborg.
I was talking about like from a serum though. Cyborg's fused with a mother box. That's why he's strong. I don't know. Just interesting. I was just thinking about that because usually there's like a mimicry between the two. So you have Hawkeye and you have Green Arrow. You have, I guess.
Well, usually, like Deadpool and Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Where they're literally copying each other.
Yeah.
Isn't Deathstroke a superhuman that's genetically enhanced? Like if you watch Titans.
No, that's true. They use the maracuya for
Maracuya.
formula. It's so I probably I'm probably mispronouncing it because of the restaurant, but it is something like maracuya. No, I think it is maracuya, and I think maracuya means miracle, which I never put together. That's what
that can't be right.
If that's the case, I need to get myself some hibachi miracle.
It's whatever the word for miracle is the name of the formula though that makes that joke strong.
So yeah, I think my favorite, if we're not talking about Batman, because that's what we've been talking about, for my favorite movie, so it's obviously Catwoman, which is easily the best movie that's ever been made. Clearly being sarcastic, because it's probably one of the worst DC movies that's ever been done.
I can't even remember. I think I've seen Catwoman, but it's probably so bad I don't even remember, or I didn't make it all the way through it.
When Halle Berry's career started to nosedive.
She picked it back up a bit after that, but that was such a bad movie. So if you're not talking about Batman movies themselves, I have obviously Wonder Woman, the original. You have Man of Steel, which I was a big fan of, even though...
Okay, yeah, so I forgot about Man of Steel. Man of Steel, though, isn't... It's not produced by DC, though, is it?
Yes, it is. This is a DC movie.
Yeah.
I feel like they had to call it Man of Steel because of something...
No, that was just them calling it. Yeah. It's kind of like with...
you know what was Superman 2 with Christopher Reeves when he fights Zod and...
When he spins the clock back?
I mean, technically,
that is that. That is that one.
Or is that 3? I can't remember. He doesn't spin the clock back. He spins
the world. That's the clock.
But no, I like that one. That's the most nostalgic for me. I always have a place for him because that's when he fights Zod and the other 2 Kryptonians, and it's like was one of the really cool fight scenes. I remember.
So Shazam was also good. That was a DC movie.
Yeah, nowhere near my top.
I wouldn't say it's near my top, but it was one of those movies that DC did that I went, okay, they know how to do a good movie.
It was corny, but yeah.
I didn't watch it because of that.
I'd take corny over bad any day.
I'm more excited to see like him fight Black Adam, but I don't know if we ever will or what they're planning on doing.
Yeah, I'm also wondering what they're going to do with Black Adam too.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to make him more of a hero, which is not what they should do. But it's definitely probably what they're going to do is make him this like anti-hero person that's going to do... Okay, so as we close out this initial podcast, so we do have some DC movies that are coming up. We've got Aquaman 2, we've got Flash, or is it called Flashpoint?
I don't know what it's called.
Is it a movie?
Yeah. If it gets released.
If it gets released with the guy that just got arrested.
When's Aquaman 2 come out? I didn't even know that one was coming out.
That comes out this... Well, everything's been being delayed. Like, Black Adam was supposed to be coming out. But, so we've got Black Adam, we've got Aquaman 2, we've got Flash, we've got... There's another one that's part 2 that I can't think of right now. That's coming out. Shazam 2, that's the other one. Are there any that... Well, you haven't seen Shazam, so I doubt you're excited for Shazam 2.
Nope.
I don't know. I might be more excited for Shazam 2.
Over the first one.
Yeah, I think it will have more serious tone than the first one did.
So the other thing we have Flash, which was supposed to be a reset for DC. That's what they were talking about with that whole movie. That it's supposed to be like erase all the other timelines, erase Justice League.
What did Ezra Miller do to get arrested?
Which time?
Oh, I don't know.
He broke into some people's house, like a couple's house. And another time he was just following. I'm not sure if it was the same couple or not, but he was following people.
See, I knew that guy was a freak. I always thought he was.
But you'd assume like these reports, like maybe it's because he thinks he's too famous now. But I'm very surprised that like this is happening now when he's about to have his big movie where he's the main character of like a beloved franchise, and now he seems to be doing everything in his power for them not to release it. Or to somehow recast him, even though I'm pretty sure it's fully filmed.
Yeah, it sucks. Barry Allen's like one of my favorite heroes, and he was just so bad.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't good. We have Wonder Woman 3, which will be out eventually, but that's probably not going to be for years, and then I don't even know if they will after the second one bombed so bad.
Yeah, that one was bad.
I'm curious to see how much that one would have bombed if it was just in theaters and didn't have the HBO deal. If more people would have went to saw it initially, and then it just would have had that massive drop the following week, like so many movies do that aren't that good, where they see like a 75% drop in revenue.
I think I'm more excited for Marvel movies this year.
Well,
I know we're talking DC.
I can't disagree with that. I don't think there's ever been a DC movie I've been excited for more than a Marvel movie. Well, I guess it depends on which Marvel movie. Because like the Eternals, I didn't care about.
Yeah, Eternals was bad.
It was not a good movie. It's probably their first bad.
Black Widow
movie.
was meh.
Yeah, Black Widow
was meh, but not a bad movie. It probably came out years too late too. Like they should have released that during Phase 1 or 2.
Well, I think that's what they were originally planning to do, and then they kept postponing it.
I have no idea.
I think that's what Scarlett Johansson always thought they were going to do, and then they never did. So.
But it's not like they got it filmed and then it was just sat there for 10 years.
No. I did like the crossover between her sister character there and
Hawkeye.
into Hawkeye.
Yeah,
that was good.
Well, it gave those characters more screen time, which then fleshed them out more. But then it also like that the introduction of her sister in that movie, I think, is the only thing that serves that movie of Black Widow. I don't think it serves anything else besides to introduce her sister, which is then brings her into Hawkeye, and then where she goes from there from other movies or other TV shows. That felt like the platform to do that was just that movie, just to get her introduced to everybody. Which, if that's the case, fine. But at least it was a tolerable movie where Eternals wasn't. But we'll come back to Marvel shortly with us probably going to be talking about Doctor Strange new movie, and then the Thor new movie, which just had a new trailer that came out that was fantastic.
It's going to be hard to top Ragnarok, but I did think the trailer looked really good.
The trailer looked amazing, and especially if they do God Butcher right, with...
I don't really know much about that character, but I read
so
up about it.
His family dies, and the gods don't help him, so then he gets a weapon that helps him just destroy gods. And if you look at the trailer, even though we're already getting into it now, if you look at the trailer, it literally, the gods are having a grand old time, not paying attention to anybody, and he's going to go murder them all because they didn't do anything. And then you got Thor, who literally is taking out like a pacifist route now with hanging up his axe and just Stormbreaker, and he's trying to have peace or whatever when he could be potentially helping people that are hurting. So it's very interesting to me. Like that trailer in and of itself, even though that movie comes out in like 2 months, I'm very surprised it took them this long to release that trailer. But it has me super hyped for that movie. And then we have, I think there's another movie that comes out. Oh yeah, Black Panther comes out as well this year.
It's hard. We just keep getting hit with like not just movies, but like TV series. So I like forget when things are coming. Like Halo just dropped recently. And I was like excited about that, and then
you watched it, and then you weren't.
No, I like it. I mean, it's not the best thing ever, but it's probably as good as they can do. Halo.
Yeah, I got 2 episodes.
Yeah, I agree. Like I like it, but it's exactly like where do you go with it? Like if you know the Halo story and like you kind of get like some origin behind it, like it's the same way with like Harry Potter. Like people that like watch the movies don't like it as much as the people that read all the books. Halo's the same way. If you watch any of if you played any of the games and you know all of the lore, the show is not good. But if you ask someone who really hasn't,
I haven't played any of the games. The show's not good.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode. I thought I had promise. I got to the second episode and I was like, oh, I don't care about anything that's going on.
Wow. I think it keeps getting better as it goes. The last episode I just watched was pretty good today. Yesterday.
yeah, I don't think I've seen the
Or
next
today.
episode.
It came out today.
Yeah.
I need to watch that one, and I still need to watch Moon Knight.
Anyways.
Yeah, you still need to watch Peacemaker.
Well, that's a whole season. I can get that
Well, it's 8 episodes. That's fine.
We got off topic here because what we were trying to accomplish was to point out how bad the Batman was.
No, it was to point out different takes of the Batman and how you and I left the Batman and we absolutely were like, wow, that wasn't good. And then we instantly realized we are in the minority because so many people like that movie. And then
So many people were dropped on their head as a child.
I gave my information out to friends that went and saw the movie, and I was told I'm an idiot. And that they loved the movie, the cinematography was great, the story was great, one of the best villains they've ever seen. That Robert Pattinson was up there as being one of the best Batmans. It's probably the Batman that's going to continue on into the future that makes everybody like Batman.
See, I'm
again.
okay with people saying they liked the movie. I haven't heard anybody, and it disgusts me that you know somebody who said that the Riddler was the best villain they've ever seen.
Yep. Because it was.
Yeah, I don't think he's a good Riddler. I think he's a good take on a Riddler. The worst part about him, I don't even like. I mean, I'm fine with him, like with the glasses over the bag on the face. Like I'm fine with that part. Like the worst part about him is when he was like cryy at the end of the movie in Arkham.
Yeah.
That part of it
cringe.
was bad. Yeah, that was very cringy. The Joker at the end, that was cringy.
That's the thing. You need a character like when
But-
Heath Ledger played the Joker, he took it in a completely different direction than any other like Joker you see in comics and stuff. But he did it in kind of a badass way where people wanted to emulate him almost and thought he was cool.
Nobody's going to emulate this.
Who would want to emulate the Riddler? Like I can't imagine anyone being like, "Oh, I want to be a whiny little bitch."
It's hard to disagree with that. I still, my biggest problem with him still is the fact that it wasn't the Riddler I'm used to, and the riddles. The riddles themselves are a joke, so to speak.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier. I don't mind that they took it in a different direction, but I also can't help that the direction they took the Riddler in was bad.
Yeah.
Like if they took it in a good different direction, sure. Like I don't think they should have done Jim Carrey again in tights and going all crazy.
I don't think that would have fit this story. I don't think that would have fit this universe or today's world.
Yeah.
In general, like a lot of movies today are more gritty, are more real, and they're not as campy as those 90s.
I
early
love the
2000s.
direction Gotham took it in, where he's basically has a split personality, where the Riddler is kind of his dark side that comes out and causes chaos and
Who's
whatnot.
the autopsy guy, right?
Forensics.
Yeah. Enigma.
Yeah.
Enigma. I mean, that. To be fair, that's what the Riddler's name is in like comics too. But I just
and I agree with you. I think that was a better take than this take.
Yeah.
In the Batman, I couldn't.
Gotham is hard to beat as far like if they made Gotham with those same actors into this the Batman movie, then that would be a hard to beat movie.
But that's kind of his point he was saying earlier. If they can do it in animation or in television, why can't? Because like the Flash TV show is better than the Flash in the movies.
Right, but it's already been made though. Like you're just gonna make it twice?
No, but that's the point. If you could come up with these good stories for a TV show and execute them well, then why can't you execute them?
It's a little bit different when you have TV show because you have more episodes, so you have a lot more room to.
Right, but
to
people don't
flesh
want to
out
watch
things.
the same thing too.
Well, he's not saying
so. That's
that.
why people. A lot of people that aren't like. I've seen all these comic books. I have this deep knowledge of DC. They watch the Batman and like it because it's a different version of what you always watch. You've seen so much DC.
No, but ignore that for a second.
I don't mind
Ignore
that
that
they're different directions. 100% I don't. I love Gotham in the different direction. Like Catwoman being friends with Bruce at a young age. Gotham is completely different than their Batman origin story. He basically becomes Batman as a kid slowly.
But so for you, Mike, I think what Corey's point is. So you liked Gotham, right?
Right.
Okay, and Gotham had good stories. Not every episode was great.
Correct.
It had some good stories, and the season culmination on most of them was pretty good. Now, if those writers that are doing that, why can't they also, not that exact same story, but something like that, do in an actual movie sense? Why can't you give us that type of storytelling that's done right, in the sense of like Gotham was done right? Why can't you give us that in a movie?
You could put that same logic to anything. Look at Star Wars.
Sure.
Why couldn't they do the last three movies like they did the first three movies?
Or the Mandalorian, where it's really good, but those last three movies were subpar. I agree with you, but that's I guess the point I'm making. Like, if you've shown you can do it right, then why aren't we doing it right? Why are we continuing to do it wrong? And again,
well, they don't know that it's not done right until they do it, though.
Sure, and part of this again is Corey and I are in the minority.
Like what?
We're in the minority here, so them watching it, they would go, "This is great."
Well, then we
everybody
should count
else
for more.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I thought it was an overall okay movie. There are parts, but there's parts of every movie that can be like, yeah, this is fucky.
But okay, so while you were watching the movie, you had enjoyment. You weren't just watching it.
I follow like the story. Like it was easy to follow the story. The story kept you involved. The fight scenes were believable.
Oh God, no! Fight scenes I thought were one of the worst things that I was hoping was going to be better. They looked so fake. They looked so... I mean, it is choreographed, but it looked choreographed. It didn't have that... Go back and look at Dark Knight Rises with Bruce Wayne and...
You think that Batman Begins. Batman... What's the first one?
Batman Returns?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's not...
But again, those are campy. That's a different type of movie. Those are campy. Those are done on purpose, campy-wise. That's what those movies are. This is supposed to be a realistic movie. Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman faces Bane in the sewers, is a fantastic bit of cinematography. And the action sequence, the fighting, everything is ungodly how good that is. And everything about that's fantastic.
Right, so now you're trying to judge everything to a 10.
No, not judging it to a 10, but I want to believe the fight, and I want to see some good fighting with it being Batman. That's what I should see. If it's in this gritty universe that's more in the real world, then I should be able to see real punches, real yada yada.
Zap, pow!
Let's put it this way. Batman Begins, Batman, or Dark Knight, whatever. And then you have this new Batman. The Batman got what, like 80% Rotten Tomatoes or something?
I mean, it's somewhere between 80 and 85.
Okay, you're telling me that even if you said Dark Knight is a 10, which it probably is on Rotten Tomatoes or something close to it.
It's probably close to it.
If that's 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, you're telling me the Batman's an 8.5?
Well, I mean, you're talking about like the fight scenes. Like,
No,
I'm
talking
about in general. That movie is rated like if you're giving 100% score to the Dark Knight.
94.
94. So if the Dark Knight's
And
getting
80,
a 94,
and 86.
Rotten Tomatoes is saying that this
86.
the Batman is
better.
86.
So the Dark Knight is 8% better than Batman.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't fully agree to that. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying the Batman.
But you guys are saying that it's like a 30.
No, I'm saying it's like a
I
60.
fucking hate this movie all day
I'm saying
long.
it's like a low 50s.
I'm saying it's like a 60, 65. It's a failing grade, but it's not unwatchable. It's just a failing grade. There were scenes that felt like I didn't want to watch them, though. But that's why he gets an F. But it's just the fact that people are saying, like you said, somebody said that the Riddler is one of the best villains they've ever seen in a comic book. I was like, what the?
Some of that's just the fact that it felt real, because a serial killer could do all these things.
Didn't like the Joker.
They do like the Joker.
Like him more than that one. That's my point. I can't fathom somebody saying he's the best one they've ever seen.
Well, I think they think that... So even though the Christopher Nolan movies, I don't think them as campy, some people do consider those movies a bit campier compared to The Batman, which is more of a gritty violence type of thing. So it all kind of depends on what you're going for. And that movies are going to be subjective anyway.
I feel like the only reason it's got an 86 is because Twilight fans.
That's not why it has an 86.
No, that's what I'm going with.
No. That, if anything, Twilight fans wouldn't do much with that, because you're talking about this is the critic rating is 86.
Oh yeah, well then that's a whole different animal. Critics are stupid. No, I mean literally, they've been wrong with what audiences say so many times.
Not on this one. They're both like right up there with the Batman.
But
They're wrong with this audience, me.
Yeah, it's so easy to have a popular audience score for a superhero movie. Think about Venom. Venom's not a good movie.
No, Venom is not a good movie.
And it was rated to the roof by the audience. Now at least critics got that one right.
Yeah, that one I was not a fan of at all. It should have been better, could have been better, and it just wasn't.
I think the hard part is to have
it's an 81% for audience.
But it's crazy to have a Venom origin story without Spider-Man. That's kind of why it was ruined for me. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I don't necessarily mind having an origin story before Spider-Man, as long as then Spider-Man gets involved, which is what's supposed to happen, so we'll see.
But the whole thing is Venom's supposed to be involved with Spider-Man first.
But I understand.
And he carries over characteristics from Spider-Man to Eddie Brock, like web slinging and stuff is all from that. And that's why he has the spider on his chest.
He doesn't web sling currently.
Huh?
He doesn't web sling in Venom.
I mean,
he jumps from thing to thing and just mashes buildings. So technically, maybe if he does get with Spider-Man, maybe he then will get that. Yeah. Not to mention, they mentioned within the second Venom movie that he remembers all the other like Venoms that are through all the multiverse. So he technically did get with.
We're doing it again. We're getting off track. The Batman's crap. Steer back to. We'll talk Marvel next time. And I'm excited to talk about. Well, I'm excited more to see it, but talking about it means I will have seen Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And just to see, like, I really want to see what cameo. I mean, there's tons of cameos, obviously, but I want to see.
I've also heard they cut a bunch.
I want to see Patrick Stewart.
Well, you're gonna get that one. He's already admitted to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, he doesn't care. He's like.
Well, no, he denied it at first, and then everybody was like, "No, that's totally your shoulder and your voice. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys caught me."
I really want to see Logan, like.
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman in a Deadpool movie.
So do I.
I know.
But
I still think that's going to happen.
It should.
But we're running low on time.
They talked about the director who's doing Deadpool 3 says that he's going to make that happen, and he will be the one directing it. Whether that's Deadpool 3 or another movie in the future, that's
the same guy
who did Free Guy
and the Adam Project.
Adam Project on Netflix, yeah.
Him and what's his
Ryan
face
Reynolds.
or like go to town with each other.
Hey, if they keep making good movies, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, Adam Project was good too.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it was good, and Free Guy was one of the best new movies that I'd seen. Alright, so closing thoughts on the Batman. Yours is that it's a good movie, that you enjoyed. You at least enjoyed it while you were watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was decent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, there's flaws to any movie, but it was watchable.
Did you see it in theaters?
What's that? No, I watched it at home.
Well, I know you just watched it at home, but that was the first time you had watched it, and then you watched it again at home, so you watched it twice at home?
Yeah.
Okay. I've only watched it once in theaters, didn't enjoy it. I will watch it again, so the next time we do the podcast, I'll have more thoughts to see if it does anything. If it changed anything watching it from the comfort of my home. Being able to pause in a 3-hour movie to go to the bathroom or get a drink. Or just fast-forwarding through a scene that took 2 minutes for no reason. Your closing thoughts on the Batman? Besides the 4 times that you've already said this is a bad movie.
I thought it was like just amazing. No, I mean I'm gonna rewatch it. Like I've committed to doing that because I do think maybe second watch I might enjoy it more than the first time. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it the first time.
Yeah, so it's funny for me. I don't think I've ever seen a movie at home that I saw in the theaters that I enjoyed more at home. I love going to a theater.
Oh, I have, definitely. And it's usually because fan reactions, either like... when I saw Avengers, I couldn't hear so many lines because we went to the midnight showing and people were just losing their minds.
Yeah, I always like watching movies at home.
I like watching movies at home too, but the movie theater, you get that whole experience. I love that. There's nothing
you get extra experience that is uncalled for.
I did.
How many times
we went to Spider-Man No Way Home,
How many times have
everything
we
added to
sat
it.
next to somebody in the theater who you end up having to say something?
Annoying people, sure, but I'm talking about when you go to a good movie.
That's what I'm saying.
We saw
Ruins
No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
There was nothing there, in my opinion, in that movie with our fans that were there.
I
that
already told
caused-
you I thought it was better when I watched it the second time at home.
I understand.
because
I was
didn't
saying
hear all
me.
the
This isn't
fanfare.
all about you.
Well, it
Saying
should
me.
be.
I enjoyed everything there with the fans, cheering at the certain moments that they cheered, being excited or being happy or being sad at certain moments.
Because you're a sheep.
No, it's not because I'm a sheep, it's just because it fit. Now, we've been to other movies and it hasn't been like that, where I've been annoyed at people talking or doing whatever. When we went and saw Birds of Prey and I had to tell the people behind us to shut up because we're in a movie theater, not their house. These are things that I'll do, sure, but that didn't add anything to the movie and there was no real fanfare during that movie.
But
But
you're right. I do enjoy being interrupted by other people and then getting the awkward moments of you yelling at them. You're right. That adds to the experience for me.
But you're telling me that when we went to see No Way Home, nothing got added to you by the fans cheering at certain moments. Or even you cheering at certain moments. Because I 100% guarantee you do not cheer at your house. Even if it's the first time you're watching a movie.
Yeah!
You do not cheer. But if you're in a movie theater, I cheered during Spider-Man No Way Home. I absolutely did. Like 5 different times that I could think of off
I
the top of my
cheered.
head.
I cried.
Yeah, I definitely don't do that in the movie theaters.
You don't cheer?
No.
Gosh, yeah.
I don't even laugh most of the time, but once in a while one will sneak out if it surprises me.
Yeah, I'll definitely laugh at home, but like I
And
guess
it's
I
more
don't
like a
cheer
story.
to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if this is a funny line, I'll laugh out loud. I'll LOL.
Get
Yeah, sure, laughing
about
out loud
that.
is not cheering. Those are two different things.
Well, that's
A
what I'm
movie
saying, like,
should make you laugh.
Get
I don't
Smart
know.
has one of the few scenes where I've ever, like laughed at a theater, and it's when they're driving across. They're in a car and they're driving across like a driving range, and then they crash into this like sign that had a swordfish on it, and they see an airplane, and Steve Carell goes, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And it pans over to the other guy, and the swordfish is an inch away from his head, and he's like, "I don't know. Were you thinking? Oh my god! I almost got me so I laughed.
Clearly, because nobody could understand you right there as you were trying to talk.
It's not important. I don't tell jokes for you. I tell them for me.
You should probably tell them to the listener or listener.
I will when we have one.
All right, so for the podcast that is yet to be named, we'll sign it out here and be back next week, probably talking about Marvel. Whether we talk about Marvel series or the upcoming new movies.
Or props, replicas that we have purchased.
Just put the shield down.
Right?
I can't.
It's so distracting.
He-
You're like
just-
rubbing it like
He
awkwardly.
also holds it in front of his mouth, which is great for when you're trying to record things. Because hence why I kept waving at him to put it down. Like
Hold on,
5
I
times.
gotta block KJ. Mike, tell KJ shut up.
All right, for podcasts that to be named.
Sunny out.